about how we could collaborate right now in this current climate with everything that's going on in the world, and how we could best serve and really bring you guys something that's really tangible, that can give you some grounding skills and some ways to really manage your vibe, because we know there's a lot of people out there that are struggling right now, and are confused, so we wanted to offer a forum for people to ask some questions and figure out, how do I kind of maintain my vibe, stay away from all this chaos, and kind of rise above in a way, and keep myself positive, keep myself optimistic during these times like this, times of crisis, really, especially globally.
Awesome. I'm just sharing this out now. I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Why doesn't, if you guys get a moment to really share this out to other people that could just use some extra help with grounding, with really learning some tools and ways to maintain your vibration during a time when things are a little wonky, then we would love that. And then Kara and I are also going to share this out too.
Yes.
Kara, did you have anything you wanted to say? Did you want to introduce your lovely self?
Sure, yeah. So happy to team up with Laura, and we're both Akashic Records practitioners, and we actually both have a background in psychology too, and counseling and therapy, so it's really neat. I also love to bring in the astrology component as well, and I think having access to the Akashic Records, to astrology, and like insight on this at this time is so powerful, because we are going through a major time of transformation, of global change. I know for many people it's been a feeling of up and down, right? Up and down energy, and that's okay. And today we'll share some ways to kind of ground and return to that feeling of peace and calmness within yourself, because I really feel like that is the key right now. Like, it's okay. A part of being human is we have anxiety, we have fear, we have stress, and just being loving toward ourselves when that comes up. But the more tools we have, the better. And I know for me, like, I've been using a lot of tools right now to stay grounded, to stay focused, and just really intentionally consuming a lot of positive, uplifting content, and creating that environment for myself to really like cultivate that energy of peace and harmony. And it's a choice we can all make. And really just like infusing that energy of love into the collective too. Because I know there's that fear and anxiety that we feel, and that's definitely there. But I think there's a lot of love too. I think there's a lot of love, a lot of support, and a lot of people craving that connection and that unity, even if we're physically isolated, like coming to virtual hangouts and events like this where we can really connect, right? And feel like I'm not so alone, I'm not so isolated.
Right. Yeah. And I think that what a lot of people don't recognize too is that right now is a time when, I think people are hard on themselves, because they think, I'm feeling really down, or I'm feeling really anxious, or I feel stuck or trapped or something like that. And that right now is a time for even the most spiritual of people to be really amping up their techniques and their tools, that it's normal to have to remind yourself to do these things all day, every day. It's normal to feel like, oh my gosh, I have to work harder to maintain my vibration. And yes, that's normal during a wonky time like this, right?
Yeah.
But I also don't want you to have that energy of I have to do this, right? We want to do this because we want to embody that feeling of passion and energy and love and compassion. And like Kara was saying, if we focus on the compassion and really sending that out and being of service to other people and to ourselves, that's how this is going to expand. And there's a lot of goodness that's going on. There's a lot of people helping, a lot of free services that are being offered right now, and just opportunities online that people can connect. And if what we focus on expands. So focus on that, showing gratitude, being appreciative that we have all this access.
Absolutely, yeah. And what I love too, and would love to dive into, is this idea around like protecting our energy, because I know the two of us have a similar approach and idea around that. And I like, feel free to ask questions throughout. Anyone who's tuning in live, I'd be happy to answer them as well, and definitely say hi when you're here. But yeah, this idea of protection that we often hear, I think, among light workers, among healers, empaths, highly sensitive. I know I definitely consider myself an empath and a highly sensitive person, and I know what it's like to take on the energy of environments and the energy of other people. And I think as empaths, we do that. But at the same time, what I've noticed about this idea of protection, one, it doesn't seem to really work when we're coming from a place of I need to protect, because it's very infused with fear. And I think in many ways, disempowering as well. Because really our superpower as a light worker is being able to be the frequency keeper, like being able to shift the energy of any space we enter. And when we really step into that power and claim it, it's amazing how things shift in our life, and we move away from like this idea of protection. Like, wait a second, love is stronger than fear. When I'm grounded in the power of love, I can transmute lower vibrations. And what any like the dominant vibration kind of plays out in any situation. So anytime we're in a large group or a gathering or even a smaller group, whoever has like that dominant vibration is what's infused, right? So when we become really strong and grounded in our energy, especially when it's coming from a space of love, we can begin to set the tone. And I think that's really powerful to remember right now, instead of just being a sponge, absorbing the fear, the anxiety. Instead, like, recognize that that's happening and remind yourself you can be the one that's putting out the love, the peace, the harmony. And if you're feeling kind of that anxiety and fear within yourself, this is where we can share some of the ways to kind of ground so you can be really strong in your energy and you can be that frequency keeper. Because I know even for myself, it's been a journey of, initially feeling like, since I was a kid, that I would just absorb the energies around me without knowing, right? And then just suddenly feel like sad or angry or upset, and the emotion wasn't even mine. So it definitely has been like a journey to learn how do I stand in the power and not take on the energy of someone else, but instead be the person determining that energy. Has that been similar for you, Laura? Like a journey to step into that?
And it's so funny because when we first connected on this topic, our perspective on it was so similar, And so we were like, oh, this is perfect, because it was so aligned. And it was bothering me that all these people kept saying, I really want you to do a master class or a live on protecting your energy. And I don't like that idea of protecting your energy, because for me, that implies that there's like a big bad monster out there that's coming to get you, right? Or there's this negativity. And so, it's really more about getting curious about what comes into your awareness and what comes into your energy field. If we take an air of curiosity really towards anything, even in our relationships, something happens and you get curious, then you're asking questions, you're gathering more information, you're getting a greater understanding and how you want to integrate that into who you are, rather than just say absorbing or judging it or putting a label on it or something like that. And just like Kara was talking about, like if you feel like you're in a room with all these people and you're absorbing energy, one of the things that I want you to remember too is that taking away energy from them in any way is disempowering them. Just like Kara was saying, like stand in your own power and our own vibration and really owning who we are. That requires us to know who we are, which is why like things like meditation and the Akashic Records and journaling and tapping and all of these wonderful skills help us connect to that so that we know who we are. And when we know, then we know when we're out of alignment. Somebody comes into our awareness or our energy field and we think, okay, I'm feeling a little off or anxious or angry or what have you. Yeah. And then just get curious. Okay, what's shifted? What's changed? And how can I shift back? Sometimes it's important to figure out where it's come from and why you're feeling that way. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just a choice, like Kara said. Just choose to shift your vibe. And I think particularly right now, it's more about just choosing to shift.
Yeah. 100%. I love that idea of just curiosity. It's so empowering when we take away the judgment and we just become curious about it. And I think you're right. Like cultivating that awareness is so key. Like having awareness of your emotions, how you're feeling, and when that begins to shift. Because usually, if we're in a space of like, say, a full-blown panic attack or anxiety attack, it usually doesn't happen suddenly. I know sometimes it feels like it can, but usually there's little shifts in energy along the way. Things that have been bothering us that we haven't looked at or we pushed aside, and then it builds up and it feels like all at once. So the more aware we are of how we're feeling, I think, and the more check-ins we're doing throughout the day, the more we can catch it early and begin to turn it around before the momentum really builds on it. And even like a powerful question question if you are. I'm sure a lot of people here are empaths, and that's why you're drawn to this space and drawn to this discussion, is when you're feeling like strong emotion, even just tuning in and asking, does this belong to me or is this someone else's? And just that question alone, if you've taken an energy on from someone else, it'll begin to shift just through. And I think it's part of it can be that curiosity of like, oh, okay, like I'm starting to feel anxious, I'm starting to feel fear, does this belong to me, is this someone else's? And just knowing like to come back to your center. And we can share, of course, some techniques around doing that. But I think the first step before even like implementing any of that is just having that awareness emotionally, how you're feeling, and when that begins to shift, and knowing how to catch it early on and implement something then before it really starts to build up. And yeah, having that choice is so key. And like one of the lessons I feel we're like being initiated into in a deeper way as a collective right now is finding that internal sense of safety, because in many ways it can feel like an uncertain time where we're not sure day to day, new policies that are coming out, how things are going to change, but we can still find that security and comfort within, because it was never meant to be found externally anyway. So I think right now we're really like being encouraged to look at how am I cultivating that within? And we really step into our power when we do that as well, when we stop relying on external events or circumstances for that sense of comfort and well-being, and we realize I can create that within myself.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so good right now that people are put in a position to create a different structure or a different schedule for themselves right now. Because, we're so used to following all of the lists of things that we need to get done each day, or the places we need to be by a certain time. And with that being a little bit more in the background, it really encourages people to look for opportunity in those gaps now that they have, and being able to say, okay, how am I going to fill this? And the more that you're able to structure time so that it allows you some space to be able to breathe, to be able to get to know yourself, because the more that you do get to know yourself, the quicker you're going to be able to bring yourself back into alignment and stay preventive, like Kara was saying. One of my favorite things for gaining awareness when I first started my healing journey was using mindfulness bells on my phone.
Love that.
Yeah, they have apps where you can just, you don't even need to use that. You can just use reminders. I set affirmations in my reminders app on my phone, and they would go off all day, every day. I still have a few that go off. But what's great about it is if you just use a mindfulness bell, you hear that and it reminds you, okay, I need to tune in. So what does tune in mean? Well, at the very basic level, it's what am I sensing? Just tuning into your 5 senses. What do you see? What do you taste? What do listing all of your senses and just reminding yourself, I'm here, I'm in my physical body, I'm safe, I'm grounded. And just having that awareness is going to be like, okay, I can breathe again and then move forward. But you're prioritizing checking in with yourself and doing those check-ins.
Yeah. Oh, I love the mindfulness bells. So helpful. Yeah. Just to get in that habit of checking in and being aware of how we're feeling. And I think being in the moment, like I know that's been such a big thing for me right now, is just staying present in the moment. And I think in a way, what's going on in the world has helped me be able to do that. Because there is so much that like, okay, maybe I can't control those things, but be in the moment, be in the here and now. And when we do that, I know this isn't like a new concept, but it's so powerful, right? When we can actually ground and be present in this moment. Because we're always like, we're safe in this moment. And a lot of anxiety comes when we try to project into the future because we're not there yet. So we're very limited in what we can do. But in this moment, we have the power. So cultivating that awareness, bringing ourselves back into the moment and just bringing the awareness into our breath. Like our breath is such a powerful tool to ground and heal. And I know, Laura, we were talking about this as well, because again, with the Akashic Records, I felt so strongly in the records, this message of grounding and connecting to Mother Earth. Like I tune in and I still feel that. But initially, like when things started happening with COVID and like just the changes, I kept hearing ground and connect, and I would feel that energy in the records. And I mean, we can share ways of doing that. Like for me, it is connecting to my breath or even my root chakra, which really like grounds me in, and even envisioning like roots from growing down, like from my root chakra down through my legs, my feet, into the crystalline core of Mother Earth, and really like grounding into that space and feeling that energy of being held and being supported, and even just holding that intention to like hand over my anxieties, my doubts, hand them over to Mother Earth, and pull in this energy of love and light. Like that practice alone is so grounding, and it will bring you back to the present moment as well, and help you again really be in your energy. Because to be that frequency keeper, you do need to be embodied. So you need to be connected to your body, and you need to be aware of what is the frequency and energy I'm putting out into the world, and really being able to shift that. If you feel like, okay, I am slipping into fear and anxiety, how can I draw on some of these tools? So it's not about guilt or shame or blame when that happens. It's simply about the awareness and the choice to choose again, to choose to do something to shift that energy.
Yeah, and I have to say, I think that one of the hardest things for people to do, a lot of my clients, the people who are having the hardest time are the ones who really are a little bit more type A, a little bit more control freakish, right? Yeah, they have to have their plan that they follow, and that feels safe and secure for them. And so, you know, even listening to you talk, yes, I totally agree, of course. However, I also feel that doing something like tapping or something physical with your body to release or move before you get into that kind of grounding is sometimes necessary for people whose minds are really racing and they're so anxious. Because I know a lot of people have trouble allowing themselves to be held in this space, whether it's by Mother Earth or whether it's by themselves or a spirit or what have you, that a lot of people have trouble kind of letting go of that control and just saying like, just take it. You know, they're just like gripping on too tightly. That's the kind of desperate energy that can really wear us down, and unfortunately is going to get you to greater levels of desperation or the same levels of desperation. It'll just show up in different ways in your life. And I think that right now, a lot of the way that's showing up is through a lot of talk on the media about everything that's going on, people sitting around talking about COVID and their fears and anxieties. And as much as I want people to feel validated, I'd almost rather that you guys get validation from a divine source, because we have a lot more perspective that comes from the divine. You know? And we have been trained as humans, especially from a young age, to really connect through negativity, through like venting and ranting and being like, oh, this annoys me, this annoys you too, and you know, talking about it. And I think unfortunately that can create like an association with connection, where it's like, okay, well, I want to connect to somebody, but that means that I have to talk about, oh my gosh, can you believe what's going on with COVID, you know, or whatever. And so I think it's really important for us to say, this is one of the tools that I think is helpful for you guys, to not necessarily engage in those discussions, that you don't have to dismiss people. You don't have to, you know, make light of whatever they're going through, but also be able to say, you know, I so appreciate that you're struggling right now, and if there's anything I can do to support you, please let me know, versus getting into that back and forth, because that's just going to get your energy amped up, and then you're taking on what they're giving you.
So true. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I love how you mentioned we associate connection with that, like with kind of that negative talk. And I know as empaths and healers, like we want to be there for people. So if somebody is suffering, we're like, we want to be right there. So I think it's even just changing our mindset and perspective around what it means to be there for someone that is going through a hard time, right? And of course, showing up with love and compassion. But like you said, it doesn't mean we have to engage in some of that dialogue that can really like bring our energy down too, right? Like absolutely. Like that's been a huge thing for me in staying in like that high vibe energy, is the content I'm consuming. So I do think like it's important to be informed, but if we're watching like the news or reading a lot of things all day long, how could you not feel anxious? So just trusting there's ways to stay informed without being pulled into the stress and the fear and the anxiety and all the other stories. And I was somebody who usually like didn't really listen to the news or read the news. Like that's just me. And when everything started happening with this, I like wanted to be informed, and I was reading more and, getting really into it. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, like I have to actually look to find the data and find actual numbers and just get the facts, because there's so much else that's out there. So many other perspectives and stories. And I think that's what we really need to be aware of, is like, and going back to how am I feeling? How am I feeling when I'm looking at this story or engaging with this content or having this conversation? What is the emotion and energy that's coming up within me? And how can I always be shifting that into like a better feeling space? So staying, right? And that's where we can use like the practice of our breath, connecting into Mother Earth. Or I love what you say too, Laura, about like the energy, because I know, even as somebody who is like astrologically, I have a lot of fire energy in my chart. So I know that energy that can build up. So for me, like tapping is great. Like you said, tapping, because it moves the energy, it shifts the energy. It's more active than just a meditation. Or like I love working out and going for walks to actually burn off that extra energy. So I think it's also knowing ourselves and knowing like what we need in any given situation. Sometimes it is that breath practice and meditation. Other times it may be like a walk in your neighborhood. If it's safe to do that where you are. I know depending where you are in the world, there's all different rules, but I think for most of us, we can get out for our neighborhood walks and get outside, or at least like move your body in your house, or maybe do tapping, but just knowing there's these different techniques you can draw on.
Yeah, and I love that you were starting to talk about those alternative perspectives from other people too, because I think that sometimes as empaths and sensitives, you can get kind of lost in other people's perspectives because you can see everybody's perspective, right? And you're like, oh, I understand. You're like so understanding, which is great because it's so big-hearted and so compassionate. But at the same time, it's so important for you to do two things. One is what Kara was saying, which is really tune into your own energy and say, what does this feel like to me? And I say to all my clients, no matter what we're talking about, take all the information that's been given to you, lay it out on the table from all of these people, and then just pick and choose what you want from it. Decide what resonates with you. That's an important piece, to decide what resonates with you. And if you are going into a situation where you know that it could be emotionally charged, or you're with a mix of people who get riled up, or tend to carry some negative energy or something, that's when you can put some techniques in place to not only clear your energy multiple times, but also to just make yourself feel like you are your own foundation, like you're your safe space and your secure base when you're going into a situation like that. So we're gonna help you with a little bit of that tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because finding that safety within, like that's where we start to feel so much more powerful. Like I wrote a Facebook post on this earlier, sort of like involving these things, but basically like the transformation we're going through now on the planet, I think is like a stripping away of a lot of the illusions, right? And part of that illusion is that my safety and security comes from outside of me, and we're realizing, wait, that comes from within. Or I think we're stripping away the illusion of lack with some of the economics changes that are happening, and fear that's triggered in people around money and finances, and coming back to like abundance is the actual truth of the universe, and tapping into that. So I feel like we're going through a time of like shadow work in our own personal lives as well as a collective, where we're releasing some of these old, outdated, like fear-based thoughts and replacing them with ones that are more aligned with our soul and with our ultimate truth. And part of that transformation can be a little bit scary, right? Because it's unknown. So again, we're really looking at how do I cultivate and find that place within me that I can return to and that I can feel secure in, at all times, regardless of what's happening around me. Because when we find that, we can really thrive in all situations, because we realize it's not dependent on the external, it's the internal. And then of course, as we shift that's the laws of the universe. As we shift internally, our external will shift to begin to reflect that back to us as well, that change in energy.
Yeah, and that you guys have permission. We all have permission to be able to say no. If you finally found that space, right, where you're feeling like, okay, now I'm centered. I know what it's like to feel grounded. I've settled myself down. And then Joe Schmo comes in and says, oh my gosh, can you believe what happened? And it's okay for you to not accept that phone call. And it's okay for you to say, I choose to maintain this vibration. And if anything feels to you like or I really don't know, like I'm kind of on the fence. That's also a no. Like anything right now, especially during times of crisis, that doesn't assist you with feeling aligned and feeling at peace is a no. And you have that permission to be able to claim that you don't have to feel guilty about that. There was one day that I felt guilty in this whole thing. You know, I was feeling great. And then I woke up one day and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, you know, there's all these people that are so sick. And, you know, I was feeling terrible. And then the next day I woke up with COVID. And I'm like, well, there you go. This is what happens. So I think it's really, you have to put yourselves first, my friends, because the reason, you know, you're doing that, you're benefiting the collective, you know? Why would we collude with negative energy? Because we're just spreading negative energy, right? So if you own that for yourself, then anybody who comes into your energy field, or even people who don't, they can just feel it from you if you're sending that compassion out there. Just knowing that there's a lot of value in you just sitting by yourself with nobody else around, staying in a high vibe space.
Definitely. Absolutely. And when we practice that, because I think it is easier to maintain when we're on our own, and we have that opportunity right now where we are more physically isolated to really practice how it feels to be in that space and what I do that keeps me there. Like so much of it really is that awareness, and then making that commitment, like you said, Laura, that it's okay to say no, that it's okay to have those boundaries up, and that it doesn't, we can still come from a very compassionate place in doing all of that. We can still be very compassionate. Like, I love how Abraham Hicks, I don't know if I have any other Abraham Hicks lovers here, but Abraham Hicks always says, like, you can't get sick enough to help sick people get well. You can't get poor enough to help poor people get rich. It's like, we can't, being and joining people in that energy isn't what changes or heals the world, right? And again, that doesn't mean we're not compassionate. But I think part of being in our power as light workers is knowing, like, okay, how I get to show up here, and trusting that the energy you embody does influence the collective as well. And it goes back to, like, yeah, there's fear and there's anxiety that's out there right now, but there is a lot of love too, and each of us determines that energy. So the more we come together in spaces like this, and we're determined to put kindness out there and compassion and empowerment and abundance, like, that's shifting and raising the vibration of the planet as well.
And it's amazing how when you do that, and the more often you do that, you just aren't naturally drawn to other things. Like for me, I mean, I've never been a news watcher, but like, I don't read anything other than high vibe stuff. I don't watch anything other than high vibe stuff, and The Bachelor, when The Bachelor.
It's entertaining. Yeah.
Right, but other than that, but it's like all high vibe stuff. And for me, I'm just like, I just don't, I have no taste for it anymore. Like, I'm not even drawn to it. I have no interest or curiosity, you know? And even when I was really sick, I was just like, I'm just going to put on kirtan and just listen to it because it just makes me smile, you know? Just choosing things that make me smile, and that it's okay to just choose to be happy right now. Guilty about that.
Yeah, that's huge. I'd love to, if that's like coming up for anyone, those feelings of guilt around feeling good, because I know that's, I've seen that come up with certain people, or postings around that, like they feel guilty and like saying things are going well, or that I feel good. But again, it's really just trusting, like putting that energy out into the collective is positive. And regardless of like where you are, right? Like you can go through challenging times and still choose that in this moment, I'm going to feel the best I can in this moment. I'm going to control what I can in this moment. And we can control the content we're consuming, the boundaries we are placing, the tools that we draw on. And even today, I'd love to walk everyone through an EFT practice too, if people are interested in that can just help you kind of stay in that energy as a frequency keeper and be strong in your vibration, and maybe release some of the anxiety and fear that's come up for you, or even just loving yourself in it. Because again, being human, it's okay that we have those emotions, and it's okay to acknowledge them. And then it's just knowing, what can I do to shift it? And knowing we always have that choice to like choose into a better feeling thought, a different emotion.
Yeah, and the other thing too is when, like we were talking about, when you go into a group of people or into a situation where there's negative energy, you know, obviously we want to maintain our own vibe. And I think that the main way to do that is to really feel confident about the vibe that you're in, to feel like, yeah, this is what I want. this is okay for me. It's good for me. And I know how this feels and I want to keep it, and being really confident about that so that when you go into a space and, people are approaching you or negative energy is around, that you don't have any question as to how to manage it. You're able to say, no, I come. And that's why I like EFT, because you're able to say, all right, I'm acknowledging the stuff that comes up, but then I'm also reminding myself to return to who I know I am.
Yeah.
And that I can choose differently right now. And EFT helps you switch that over, and it acknowledges both.
Right.
And that's why I think it's such an efficient technique, because it incorporates both. It's the release, but then it's also internalizing new belief systems.
So true. Yeah. Like just acknowledging where we are, not pushing it down. Because again, that's what can lead to like overwhelming anxiety or panic attacks, is when we've denied how we're feeling. We're like, it's coming up and we're just trying to shove it away. So we don't want to shove it away. It's not about that. It's about acknowledging the emotion with love, becoming curious about, where that may be stemming from, where the worry is coming from, and then choosing to shift it. And again, the easier, like if you can do EFT when you catch that anxiety early on, it's going to be easier to shift. If you can do like movement in your body, just like dance around your house when you start to feel it, you can shift the energy out of your body, which I actually think is an important thing as well. Like emotions, we hold them in our body. Like we can store emotions there, but it's meant to, like, emotion is energy and it's not meant to stay stuck. It's meant to flow. So we can really have the courage to look at our emotion, how we're feeling, experience it, and be willing to shift it in that moment. It flows through us. Like we don't stay stuck as much. It has been my experience anyway. Like we won't stay stuck in a certain emotion or story when we know how to shift it and allow that energy to keep moving and flowing.
Yeah, and it is courageous to be able to do that, and that we don't have to feel like we're bringing up all of our deepest, darkest and sitting in it. We're bringing it up to release it. And I think that's the important piece, is the intention behind it. I'm not bringing this up so I can wallow or so I can enter victim mentality or anything like that. I'm bringing it up with the intention to release it, and not only release it, but transform it into something that serves me, into something that serves the highest good for all.
Beautiful.
Do you want to take us through one?
Sure, let's do some EFT. Yes. Is everyone here familiar with tapping? Oh, I'm just trying to close some of this so I can see the comments too, because I think I can see them here. Love Abraham Hicks, yay! And the chanting, yeah, kirtan is super powerful. It's just reading.
That's my go-to. And I love it too, because like when we were talking about using your physical body before you do something meditative or grounding, that's one of the most common ways that I use my physical body to release before I will do a practice like that. Because even though I'm not, say, exercising or stretching or something like that, I am still using my body to shift my vibration.
Right. Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's powerful. Oh, like using our voice releases a lot, a lot of energy. Yeah. All right. Let's do some tapping then. I'd love to guide everyone through it. So definitely I invite you to join, because this is just best experienced rather than talked about. So just come through the process with me if you can, and yeah, see what comes up. So first, let's start by just closing our eyes, connecting into your breath, connecting into your body. And just using your breath to ground you into this present moment, becoming aware in this moment of how you are feeling. Without any judgment, just simply become aware and hold that intention that you can release any of the stress or anxiety that no longer serves you, no longer needs to be there in your body or energy field, that you can release it, and that it's safe to return to a space of peace and calmness. And take a deep breath. Release. And we'll go into the karate chop point. So just at the side of the hand and tapping. And I invite you just to repeat after me. Even though there's some fear and anxiety in the collective.
Even though there's some fear and anxiety in the collective.
I choose to remember I can return to a space of calmness.
I choose to remember I can return to a space of calmness.
Even though there may be some anxiety and fear around me.
Even though there may be some anxiety and fear around me.
I can choose peace.
I can choose peace.
Even though at times I may feel anxious and fearful.
Even though at times I may feel anxious and fearful.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
This feeling of anxiety,
This feeling of anxiety,
this feeling of fear,
this feeling of fear,
there's so much change unfolding.
there's so much change unfolding.
And at times I just feel uncertain about it all.
At times, I just feel uncertain about it all.
I'm not sure how it's going to play out.
I'm not sure how it's going to play out.
And the people around me just seem anxious.
And the people around me just seem
And that can make me feel anxious.
and that could make me feel anxious.
All this fear,
All this fear,
all this anxiety.
all this anxiety.
What if it's safe to release this now?
What if it's safe to release all this now?
To release it from mind, body, and spirit?
To release it from mind, body, and spirit?
What if it's safe to tap into peace?
What if it's safe to tap into peace?
To tap into well-being?
To tap into well-being?
To tap into the energy of love?
To tap into the energy of love?
And to send this out into the world?
And to send this out into the world?
To be the frequency keeper?
To be the frequency keeper?
Spreading love?
Spreading love?
Spreading light?
Spreading light?
Spreading peace?
Spreading peace?
Spreading harmony?
Spreading harmony?
Because I can make a difference in the world.
Because I can make a difference in the world.
I can choose how I show up.
I can choose how I show up.
And I choose to release this fear.
And I choose to release this fear.
Choose to release this anxiety.
Choose to release this anxiety.
And to tap into the energy of peace.
And to tap into the energy of peace.
The energy of love.
The energy of love.
And to send this out into the world now.
And to send this out into the world now.
And take a deep breath. Release. And just tuning back into your body, your heart space. Notice how you feel. And just sending yourself so much love, so much gratitude, and remembering that you do have the power to make a difference. And just take a deep breath in. Release. Right. How's that feeling? And that was just like a very, very quick couple of rounds, but we can feel the energy shift very quickly, and especially when we kind of combine that with our intention. And I really like to use like the choose again method, right? Like, what if, even though there's this anxiety, what if I can choose to tap into peace? And also just being very powerful with the questions we ask, like, what if I can feel more calm and centered right now? What if I can be the frequency keeper? And it's just being in the energy of those questions and sending that out into the world. And anytime we like pose a question, our brain goes to work, or like we prime our subconscious to go to work answering it. So if we're asking really powerful questions, like, what if I could spread more love? What if I could spread more harmony? That's what we're activating in our experience.
Yeah, and that's an area where we can get curious. And I love that about tapping too, because certain statements or sensations that can come up while you're tapping can give you subconscious information that's been revealed or brought up during tapping that allows you to then peel back another layer or to explore a little bit further, so that you can continue and have this be something that allows you to get in deeper touch with yourself and a more intimate connection with yourself.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, because you're really tapping into your body, right? You can feel that energy coming up. So, like, depending where you are, like if you are feeling really anxious or overwhelmed, or just like in that space in this moment, you may even want to tap more on that, right? Like you may want to tap this feeling of fear, this feeling of anxiety. I love and accept myself anyway, and just stay there until you feel that energy start to shift. And like you said, Laura, so powerful, right? Of just being curious around what's coming up around this, or even as you say, it's safe to choose peace. It's safe to choose joy. Is there a part of you that feels that it's not? And you can really dig into that. Like, what part of me believes it's not safe to be in that energy? And we become curious about that, right? And that's how we begin to shift and alter our belief system.
Right, because what you're going to find most of all is when you're looking at safety and security issues, the vast majority of the time, these are rooted in outdated belief systems. Mm-hmm. These are rooted in experiences that we've had previously in our lives that we've been conditioned toward, and we can reevaluate that and decide whether we want to shift that into something else, or just choose differently, to choose again. Yeah. And the other piece that I know a lot of my clients get frustrated with is bringing up the anxiety and bringing up the fear to release it, because not only do they worry about it, but a lot of them sometimes feel out of control because they start with it and then it's coming to the surface and it's even more intense than it was. And then they feel like they're going to lose it. In those situations, you can certainly tap with having like a supportive other around or with a practitioner. The other piece too, if you want to continue to try to do it on your own, there's a couple ways of doing this. One is you can first of all limit your tapping points if you want to. You know, you don't have to do all of the tapping points. You can just do the face points if that makes you more comfortable. You can also use the breath. So like if you're in, like Kara was saying, like if you want to stay on a point and say the same thing over and over again, feel free. Or you can go deeper here, or you can just stay here and just breathe really, really deeply. Make yourself yawn, make yourself sigh, and really use the breath to open that up and really like excavate it and bring it up. So you can definitely do that as well to kind of work with any kind of sticky areas. And some people don't use the anxiety and the fear-based stuff at all. They don't use the negative emotion. Now, for me, I do understand that as like, that's part of the tool. You know, you're supposed to bring it up and release it. But some people who are too afraid, you're still going to get benefit from being able to go through the points and just saying the affirmations, reminding yourself who you are, bringing yourself back to that confidence. So if any of you are feeling a little like, I don't want to amp myself up or rile myself up and I feel too unstable, you know, that's certainly another way you can use it or practice it.
So true, yeah. And that point just feels so good to tap on. Another one that's not even an EFT, but I love to tap on is just this chest point here, because I find that just seems to clear a lot and like calm my body down. So yeah, there's many like variations around how you can kind of use that and make it work for you. Absolutely. And it's normal to have those emotions come to the surface. So I think, yeah, if there's a lot coming up, that's where it is good to tap with someone else and just have them hold that space for you and help you process it. And it can really deepen your experience. And yeah, if you're doing it on your own and you're feeling that, you can just kind of like back off a little too, right? Just like notice and begin to shift it. And yeah, there's so many ways you can use it. You can even just do tapping and do affirmations. Like that can be really powerful too, like to take your affirmation practice to a whole new level, like incorporate that with energy work, and it'll just, you're not only speaking the affirmation, but you're actually embodying it. And when we embody a new energy and frequency, that's when we manifest things, right? That's the key to manifesting. It's not just saying it, it's actually embodying it, being in that energy, and tapping will help you do that.
Yeah. No, that's so beautiful. And I also want you guys to know that if tapping, or any kind of modality for that matter, brings up things from your past or areas of difficulty, or, oh, I've been anxious my whole life, or, oh, I've always struggled with this or something, you know, I want you to remember that, yes, that may have existed, but you're here. So you got through it. You know, you got through it. Somehow you got through it. And so I like that mentality because you're relying on yourself, you know, and we've been talking about, you know, returning to your foundation. And ideally that's going to be the soul version of you. But also if you're not there yet, or you know, if you're still kind of on your way, then you can rely on previous versions of yourself within this life that you know has successfully gotten through this, you know, even if it's in a way that felt messy to you, being able to say, there were obviously areas of strength and resilience in that time or in that moment or within me that I was able to use to get through it. So are there any of those tools that I can learn from myself now? Because a previous version of me did it. And that, I think, is the most powerful way for us to remind ourselves, like, no, I have resources, I have strength and resilience, and yes, I still have a lot to learn, but I've also gotten through it before.
Yeah, exactly, right? We're all here, so we survived it. We got to give ourselves credit for that. And I think it's so helpful when we can actually go back and look at, okay, what's like exactly what you said? What part of me allowed me to be strong during this situation? What allowed me to, even if it felt like I was crumbling, you got through it, right? There was a part of you that kept going and kept moving forward. So it's so beautiful. And I love that practice, even within the space of the Akashic Records, like doing work with my clients in that space where I open the Akashic Records and really in that expansive energy, I'm able to help them draw on different aspects, even from a past life. So we can do this lifetime, absolutely, and past life versions of ourselves as well. Like we can really draw on that to help us in these situations. And it's so powerful when we recognize that, and just the support and love we have around us in doing that, not only like in groups where we come together, right? And we're able to support one another together. But from like the spirit realm, our cosmic team, our angels, our guides, like our loved ones that have transitioned that are here to support us too. Like we can draw on that support and help too.
Yeah, and we have access to all of it. So that's the thing. So if you guys are okay with that, I would love to walk you through just a brief meditation. Now that we've done our tapping, we've shaken up the energy a bit, and moved our bodies, started to access that subconscious, because I do think it's really important to remember that we always have access to this space and to this vibration. And this is a video that's always going to be posted as well. So if you guys want to return to the tapping, especially as you go through this time, or return to the meditation, you can do that, and you can fast forward and do the tapping right before the meditation so that you can combine those two for yourself and feel like you can get more to that Zen space for you. Okay, yeah, let's do it, Sarah.
Yay.
She's ready. All right, everybody, so just close your eyes for me. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. We're going to do one more of those, breathing in deeply all the way to the base of your spine, expanding your rib cage. Breathing out, squeezing your belly button to your spine, really squeezing out all that air. And continuing to breathe slowly and deeply at a pace that feels right for you, that feels comfortable. And I just want you to observe your breath as to where it's going right now. Is it going into your chest? Is it going into your belly? Get an idea of how you can make it deeper. How can you deepen your breath just a little bit more? Can you expand wider? Can you expand further down into your pelvis? Expanding to the top of your head. Just try to make it as big as you can. Remembering that our breath is our life force energy, and we can return to it and pull from it at any time that we need to. And on your next out breath, I'd like you to just send your breath down past the crust of Mother Earth, past that moisture in the soil. Really feeling what that feels like as you pass through. And I just want us to really hang out in this root system here for a while, in the Mother Earth root system. That is her structure and her solidarity, holding us together, providing us with nourishment. And I just want you to really imagine that your physical body is stretched out in this space, that you're really held in a hammock in this root system. All of the intertwining roots, from fine to thick to strong. And I just want you to know that you're very safely held here, almost like you're being cradled like a baby. You can feel the softness of the roots on the smooth parts. You can grab on to any areas there that make you feel more safe and secure, to really hold on, to hang on, and allow her to just support you. Imagine that your fingers and your toes are intertwined with the finer roots. And that as you inhale, you're really bringing up all of the healing and nutrients from this space into your physical body. You're integrating them into your cells, into your bloodstream, into your immune system, and into any little pockets or nooks and crannies within your physical body that are feeling depleted right now. Identify just an area of your body where you might need a little extra nourishment. And just with your breath and with your intention, I just want you to send all of these nutrients to those spaces, allowing them to be infused with vitamins and minerals, with love and comfort, with strength and solidarity. I want you to take a deep breath in to integrate all of this healing into your physical body. And breathing out anything that no longer serves you. Really allowing your physical body to relax, feeling completely held and supported. You don't even have to hold up your head. Your body is almost weightless here in this root system as Mother Earth holds you. You can feel the warmth that's coming up from the core center of Mother Earth, all of the heat and the unconditional love that's just bubbling up and ready to be shared and spread through compassion and love. I just want you to feel all this warmth, really relaxing your body even more, integrating into your energy field so you can really feel so much comfort that's coming from this space, so much peace. And just as a mother would send her child off with all of the strength that she has imparted, she's encouraging us to lift our bodies up from this root system and to stand tall, knowing that these roots can lift us back up to the surface of the earth and stay underneath us. You can even imagine a spot that's in your home or outside where you can imagine these roots lifting to the surface of the earth so that you can go back to this place. You can sit on this space. You can stand on this space to reconnect to this loving energy, to reconnect to this confidence and this strength. I want you to take another deep breath in to integrate all of these changes. As you breathe out, I want you to imagine yourself walking forward, knowing that you've been infused with health, with nourishment, with anywhere you have felt lack. You've been infused with vitamins and minerals and things that really strengthen you, strengthen your resolve and your resilience. You can walk away more confidently and know that you can return to this place anytime you need extra love, extra healing. I just want you to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. How's everybody feeling?
So good. That was beautiful, Laura. Thank you. Wow.
Let me know. Let me know if you guys were able to relax during the after, since we started that with the tapping. Hopefully, you were able to kind of really feel into that. You know.
It was so good. So beautiful. I feel relaxed.
Yeah.
Now. In the best of ways, though. It's like really, really beautiful. Yeah. I love that idea of like having Mother Earth hold us and like infuse us with everything we need to then like move forward. So it's like we're connecting to that space and then it's boosting us up to continue moving forward. Like I could really feel that. Really good. Yeah.
And knowing that that support is always there, you know, that we're always connected to that. And, you know, this is one of the reasons why I love crystals is because they are a product of Mother Earth that carry frequencies and that offer us something tangible to take with us, because it's very hard for us sometimes, especially when we're starting out on our healing journey or we're getting into the energy world or spiritual world, you know, there's very little that's tangible, you know, and so we're jumping into this unknown, and for a lot of people that's hard because this aspect of trusting what we can see and sense with our five senses. And crystals are really something that can not only amplify our experience from a frequency perspective, but also really ground us and make us feel like we are connected to something. So you could always come back and do that meditation with a crystal, and basically you're programming that crystal to kind of house the vibration of whatever you are embodying at the time of that meditation. And then that crystal can become like your special going through crisis time crystal if you want. You know that when you see it or when you hold it or when you access it, it holds this vibration that has such a beautiful resonance, you know, that reminds you of this experience that you've been through, or immediately connects you to that frequency. And crystals can be programmed and they can carry frequencies. So, you know, if that's something, or you guys can use really any objects you want, but that is one way to really maintain your vibration. I know sometimes what I'll do is program crystals. You can throw it in your pocket, you know, even a rock. I'm kind of a rock painter. So you can even like program that, anything you like. Again, it's about intention, and energy follows our intention. So, you know, those are just some tangible ways for you guys to have reminders and to remind you to reconnect if you don't want to use a mindfulness bell, or if you just need something to hold on to that reminds you that you're safe and secure.
Oh, that's such a beautiful suggestion. I love that. Yeah, crystals are so powerful. Yeah, and like you said, just anything that kind of grounds in that energy, that you can pull that up and it'll evoke that feeling and that emotion within you. So powerful. And I think, yeah, like Mother Earth, and I feel that's part of like the cosmic shifts happening right now, where we are returning to the divine feminine energy, and that's like heals us, and that's where we become nourished and where we rest, and I think collectively, like, we're seeing the awakening of the divine feminine energy, and even like big time, it's been on the rise, and I see that even studying like the astrology behind it and the charts. It's like the divine feminine is really, it has emerged, I think, and now it's more about how does this interplay with that divine masculine energy as well and play out in our life. But yeah, being able to like ground into all that is really beautiful. And I think crystals are an amazing way that kind of help anchor us into that space and that energy.
Yeah, and Rebecca just said, all I have is an amethyst. I mean, absolutely work with what you have. Typically, the most grounding stones are the darker colors, you know, so you're looking for like reds or blacks or browns or oranges. What do you have? You have a shungite?
I think it is a shungite. Yeah. I love crystals, and I'm not like, I don't even know a lot of the names. I just intuitively like work with them and do crystal grids. But I think this one is because I have it near my computer. Let me see. Because it's supposed to be good for any of the energy or radiation, right? From like computers. It's a very grounding stone. So I feel that energy. And then I always have my amethyst nearby too.
Oh, you have a nice giant one, Kara.
A giant one. Anyway, I won't show all my crystals, and I've got a clear quartz over there, but
we'll be here all night if I show you all my crystals. Oh my goodness. Look what I got today. I just got a lithium phantom quartz today.
Oh, that is gorgeous.
I'm really pumped about this one.
I can feel the power of that. Wow.
This one actually came to me in a meditation. They were like, you need to get this. Archangel Raphael. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll buy a crystal.
You convinced me.
Exactly. So that's just something tangible. And really, you know, I know that a lot of people do talk about kind of veiling your energy before you go into certain situations. I don't really do that a lot, to be honest with you. Because, and part of it could be that I am in the Akashic Records a lot, and I am very connected to the core and the confidence within that space as well. But, you know, I know that a couple tools I'm just going to throw out there really quickly, because you guys may have heard them before, but, you know, kind of surrounding yourself in white light or in like golden light or something like that, almost like you have this, this ball, imaginary ball around you, so that, you know, any kind of energies can bounce off or take longer to penetrate. So you have a little bit more time to get away or to set your boundaries. But another one that was my favorite way at the beginning was this idea of like being in the center of a disco ball or like a hall of mirrors, and the mirrors were facing out. So it was like I was kind of in this space, and I love this one because what it does is if any negative energy or people are coming toward you, it reflects back to them. But I just like that idea, that visual, because really it is about them, right? I mean, we're all mirrors for one another. And like Kara was talking about earlier, like if things are really coming up and agitating you to a significant level or really anxious, being able to consider, okay, what is this validating about what already was existing within me that needed to be cleared? Or, you know, that it's a good opportunity to, again, get curious and think, this is something that I'm getting particularly triggered because it's something that I already needed to deal with, you know? Yeah. So when we talk about like reflecting back to others, you know, one of my favorite statements is, I'm really sorry you feel that way. That's something you can always say to people, to say like, I'm listening to you and I acknowledge you,
but I'm not taking it on.
taking it on. Like, I'm really sorry you feel that way. And I'm absolutely here to assist you with, whatever. But being able to kind of reflect back and allow them to do that work if they're called to,
Beautiful. I love that mirror. I don't think I've tried that one or heard it, but I love that. And I especially love what it represents, right? Like reflecting that back to the person with love, right? Because it's, just like coming from that space of love. And I think that powerful reminder. And then we can start to see like people in our life as teachers as well. So if something is triggered within us, it's like, okay, what emotion within me is needing to be healed? So if this person is triggering frustration, how can I look at that? Where in my life have I been feeling frustrated? And where is this just an opportunity to look at that? So I think it really helps when we see people as teachers too in our life, right? But yeah, I love that mirror. And then one that I'll do after, and I think this is really good for anyone here that works with clients or supports other people as well, is like after sessions calling on Archangel Michael to cut any energetic cords that have been attached. And I always say return them to sender with love and awareness attached. So it feels really good. It's like with love, with awareness. And then I call in Raphael to do any necessary healing work. And it just feels like a really beautiful process. Like, okay, I'm detaching those cords, I'm sending them with love, and we're being assisted with the healing too, instead of like continuing to carry it with us. So you could do that in any situation or gathering where you just want to clear your energy after as well. So that's more something to do later on. But I find it's a really powerful practice, and just that intention to that, okay, like I'm releasing any cords or any attachments or energy that I may have taken that don't belong to me and is not serving anyone if I hold on to it as well.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And that's one of the things that we had talked about earlier in terms of clearing multiple times a day. And if you're seeing multiple clients a day, then you need to clear multiple times a day, and just make that a practice that's more prevalent, now. And one of the ways that I do it is just using my selenite. I mean, selenite is very clearing, and very cleansing. And so selenite is another crystal, if you guys are not aware of that. Oh, wait, I have a little one here.
Oh, I love selenite.
Yeah. And so, you can use selenite to just kind of clear your entire aura if you would like to. You can use Palo Santo, you can use sage, you can use sound. Sometimes I'll play my singing bowls, because my big singing bowl that I'm obsessed with is very loud. And I mean, you can hear it through my entire house and outside my house. And so just knowing that vibration, that frequency is just clearing whatever is, of a lower vibration that needs to leave the space. So just different tools that you guys can use to clear, but remember to do it on a regular basis, which is why using like a mindfulness bell could be productive as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just continuing to return to it, right? That's the key.
Yeah.
Until it becomes a habit and a practice, and you become more aware, more conscious of how you're feeling emotionally. And that's when we really step into our creative power. We become aware of our emotions, and we know what to do to kind of like manage. I don't want to say control. That seems like a very kind of masculine way to see it, but we become aware, and we know how to work with our emotional state and our energy. And it's so empowering when we're able to do that. And it's not about being perfect in it. It's about just enjoying that journey and feeling empowered with all these incredible tools that can support you. Like, I know the more tools I have, the more empowered I feel in my life, right? When different things happen and I'm like, okay, like, but I have tools that I can draw, and I have things I can use to stay in a high vibe space. And I know I can just be loving and accepting with myself as I process and heal.
Well, and I love that you just talked about creative energy, because that's something that I have told almost every single one of my clients is this is a time to get creative. We're put in a position where, no, we're not necessarily following the exact same agenda that we planned on 3 months ago or 2 months ago, and it's not a place where we're just empowering ourselves by saying, oh, I'm stuck, or I don't know what to do, or I don't have options. It just forces you to stop and say, okay, let me get creative here. I just need to think of a different way to do this, a different way to go about this, and I think that puts us in a position of appreciating the process more, like you were talking about, rather than just getting frustrated and upset, and being able to say, okay, this is kind of a curveball. How do I adjust and get creative about addressing this curveball, instead of just being like, oh my gosh, it's a curveball, I don't know how to deal with that, slam, and like fall on your face,
Right.
So yeah, definitely like tapping into that creative energy is also just like so good for our intuition and connecting to ourselves and really using this time. And you'd be amazed at what can come out of you just sitting down and like randomly drawing something because you don't have anything to do and just being like, oh, wow, you know, it gives you more insight into who you are as well. Rebecca asked about essential oils. I do use a lot of essential oils, and I'm drawn to whatever. It depends on the day, right? It depends on the day. And for a while there, all I was diffusing was like lemon and thieves and cinnamon because I was trying to kill every germ that ever hit the earth. But because we had a lot of germs in our house for like 5 weeks. So I was like, listen, we're just but I use peppermint and tea tree oil the most. And tea tree oil for me is very grounding. It's also extremely healing. And I know that that's really going to go to, I mean, when I take my Epsom salt baths, that's what I take them in is tea tree oil. And I use tea tree oil for almost everything. And I just feel like it's extremely grounding. It connects me to that, makes me feel like that's that medicinal component of Mother Earth, really, tea tree itself. So I really feel connected when I do that. And peppermint is my other one. Peppermint is my go-to. I lather myself with it and I diffuse it. And I find that really gives me a lot of energy and clears a lot of the negative stuff because it's very strong. So I definitely use a lot of that. And I've been drawn to lemon the past couple of months. I've been using a lot of lemon. So let me know, Rebecca, if you have other questions. Sarah, I love frankincense, vetiver, and sandalwood. Vetiver is phenomenal. Sandalwood is also one of my favorites, but I use it sparingly because it's really expensive. But those are like my special nights when I'm like, oh, I'm going to use some sandalwood just because it makes me feel warm and fuzzy. But yeah, vetiver is, I mean, frankincense, of course, that's a classic, but vetiver is extremely grounding. I mean, it is probably one of the thickest oils I've ever worked with. I mean, when it comes out of the bottle, it takes forever. So that would be a really solid one. It's also very, very effective. One of the most effective for anxiety or even like ADHD, any kind of neurological stuff that comes up. So if you guys are feeling really restless and kind of unsettled, vetiver is a really good option. Putting it on the bottom of your feet too is the most absorbent.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. See, I don't work with essential oils as much. I do think they're like super powerful, but I love how you mentioned like the Epsom salt baths because I love that. That's something I do a few times a week just to like clear and cleanse and so relaxing. Maybe even just my astrology being a water sign. I love being around the water. Like anytime I can be in water, I feel at home. So yeah, the Epsom salt baths are like amazing as well. Baking soda. Some people put baking soda in, I think, and it just like clears our energy as well. But very healing.
Yeah, and I'm glad you just brought up the elements too briefly, just because I feel like, I mean, for me, it's fire. Like I am so drawn to fire. As soon as I see a flame, I immediately just come down. It's unbelievable. So being able to just be aware of that you can use the elements. We've already talked about the earth, obviously, and using our breath as well, you know, using that life force energy for air. And any way that you can kind of connect to those elements that you're just naturally drawn to or just naturally bring you peace.
Yes, because I find there's something in them we need. Like if we're drawn, right? If you're really drawn to the ocean, there's something there. Or yeah, like the earth and the grounding and nature there, it heals us. And working with the elements is so powerful. And like you mentioned too, just like the deep breathing to work with the element of air and allowing that to flow throughout our body. It's amazing. Another way to really just stay grounded and centered. Yeah.
Oh, we're getting a lot of comments at once right now.
I've seen that. I love it.
Well, there was a delay too.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely go with what you're drawn to, Jennifer. 100%, definitely. And meditate with vetiver. Beautiful. You know what? I haven't actually meditated with vetiver yet. Thank you. I will do that this evening. Studied essential. Oh, Sarah, let's chat.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
Really cool. Yes. No, I totally agree with you that our cells recognize them. And it's not this like, there's like a molecular component that our cells recognize, you know, that come from Mother Earth. And we are part of Mother Earth, coming from Mother Earth and coming from spirit. And it's just all very powerful and very creative and can work at a very deep level that we might not even consciously be aware of. So
So amazing. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you want to share? I know Laura and I both have like some additional things if anybody is here and they're like, I want to dive deeper into all of this, or really needing the extra support. So did you want to share, Laura, what you kind of have created or available for people?
Absolutely, sure. So I actually have a video training called Creating Your Own EFT Script. And the reason that I created this is because the vast majority of my clients were getting irritated because I would give them videos, or we would do videos together, and they were great. But the most important thing, and I think the most powerful way to work with EFT is to create your own script, because you're creating it from your own intuition. You're creating it from your own excavation of some of that subconscious stuff. And so I wanted something for people to be able to access, to learn how do I do this on my own? How does Kara do that? How does Laura do that? And just intuitively bring things in. And really a how-to, and it walks you through. And you also get a workbook with it, like a 3-sheet workbook that gives you a template, and that you can use as many times as you want, so that you can fill in this template and be able to use this script repeatedly until you get comfortable enough to kind of bring it through intuitively, or channel some of those EFT statements that come through for you while you're tapping. So typically that runs for $97, but I'm giving you guys a giant discount for coming to this. And I know this is a time when a lot of people could really use this skill. So I'm just offering it for $27 to you guys who came to this. So what I'm going to do is put the link in the comments, and I'm going to put the coupon code too, so you can grab that off of my website. And then if you wanted to connect individually, I am also offering, just to people who attend this workshop, the ability to connect with me individually on a call. It's called Break Through Your Burnout to Live a Life of Ease, Energy, and Confidence. Typically, this is an $111 call, but I'm offering it to you guys for free, because I really want you guys to be able to feel like, at least I know what plan I need to move forward, and we can create a plan for you. And maybe that plan involves us working together, or doing a couple, sessions together, so that you can clear some things. But it might also just include, hey, you need to do this, this, and this, and start practicing and integrating that. And then we can touch base later and just see how you're doing. So if you guys feel like you need some of that one-on-one support, I will put that link in the comments and the coupon code as well, so that you can access that and we can connect.
Beautiful. Oh, I love that. I love that you have the EFT script, because I know that's what I heard from like a lot of my clients. Like, how do I do this on my own? What do I say? And that would hold people up from doing EFT because they didn't know what to say. So I love that you have a process that like walks everyone through that. So beautiful. And what I'm doing now, we're actually starting tomorrow, is 11 days of divine guidance from the Akashic Records. So channeling guidance each day to support you during this time. And there'll be Akashic meditations, there'll be activations, and just channel messages on the energy and feeling from the records that day and how it can support you. And yeah, just message me if you want the link for that. I have that for like $11. So it's basically $1 a day for divine intelligence to give you a message. So super, super powerful. And they're all recorded as well. So you can listen to it on your own time, and you can go back and listen to all the replays and just revisit as often as you need. But really felt guided to share this at this time where there's so much transformation, and the Akashic Records gives us so much guidance and insight and helps us focus on the larger picture of what's unfolding. So it's going to be good and something new each day. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's, I know, a shared mission that Kara and I have, which is to just get as many people to access and experience and learn the Akashic Records as possible. Because I remember when I first met Kara and she said it changed her life. And then I entered the records and thought, I'm not getting anything. I don't know what she's talking about. And then, and then I said, Kara, I need help. And so then we worked together for a little while, and I was able to really practice and be in her sisterhood and be held accountable to enter my records on a weekly basis and really learn how to use that space. And what I can promise you guys is that getting adjusted to that vibration and really taking the time to learn how to use that space. It's like I love to tell my clients, it's really a relationship. It's a relationship between me and my records, you and your records. And just like you would meet somebody new and have to get used to communication with them, how we communicate back and forth and kind of get to know the nuances and, interpreting their nonverbal behaviors with people and things like that. Same thing happens when we're getting to know this new relationship with the divine and with the Akashic records. And when you take your time and you really work through that, I'll tell you, it has completely changed my life. So now I agree with Kara.
It is life-changing, truly. Sometimes it just takes a little bit to feel into it. And that's why I do think it's really helpful to have a guide initially. Like, I know I had a mentor going into that space. I love to guide people in that space. And it's not meant to be like, oh, I'm going to guide you through the space forever. It's to hold that space for you until you really feel comfortable accessing it on your own and exploring it on your own. So it's a really beautiful way to kind of dive in and experience that. So learning how to explore the records, but also just receiving the healing that's there for you in that space. And the guidance, the wisdom, the empowerment, all of it. It all flows through in that energy. Yeah.
And just being in the energy of the Akashic records, like I'm in my Akashic records now, I opened them before we entered this space. And, just having access to that is healing for those of you who are here and those of you who are on the replay.
Definitely. Yeah. There's always, I feel that there's always like an element of healing that comes through simply by being in the records, being in that space. You can always trust that. Yeah. So beautiful.
Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We're so thankful that you engaged and had the opportunity to spend some time with us and really set aside this time for yourselves to learn and to ground and to just, connect more intimately to yourself. So I honor you all for doing that.
Yeah. Oh, this was so fun. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out, for sharing your questions, your comments. And thank you, Laura, for inviting me into your beautiful space. This was awesome. So
you're welcome. I love connecting always with you. And we will put our links in the comments if you need to touch base with us. We're always happy to connect either through comments here, if you're Messenger, etc. And we know that people are needing a little extra support too right now. So feel free to reach out.
Definitely. Sending so much love.
Yeah. Have a wonderful night, everyone.